Hi there, we're going to have a look at the Prelude number 5 by Villa Lobos. I'll just talk you through some of the fingerings and a couple of musical ideas. If you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like. Okay, so first of all, let's think about the time signature. So it's in 6, but if you look at those bass the bass notes underneath, it kind of makes me think of it like a 6/8 bar, or a slow 6/8 bar, where it's in 2. So it's 1, 2, 2, 1, that kind of feel to it. So that's how I see it anyway. And if you have a look at the pattern of the accompaniment, you've got a dotted minim bass, and then a that kind of pattern, crotchet minim, and because of this, you have to be careful not to use rest strokes in the melody, because it's going to block out some of those parts, and that part that I just played is a really important part there. So it's nice to hear that line, and if I use rest strokes, it's going to cut those. So that's something to think about. That happens a lot in this. When I play through it, I'll talk you through some of them. And the other thing is, it's not always going to be possible to bring out those patterns. If you look at that, I've refingered that first bar. I'll slide the third so that you're ready to be in 5th position. Now, you don't have to do that, because you can play it like this. That's a really horrible change. So, and then again. So that kind of fingering means that it's not always going to be possible. And there's some times when you're not always going to be able to hold the bass notes as written. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, I'm using the Ashig edition, so I don't know if that matches yours. I believe there are some new editions of this out. That's the old Ashig edition that I'm using. I remember my teacher used to love these, because he said there are no fingerings in them, so you're just sort of free to put your own in, and it won't look cluttered. But the second line, you've got these strange slurs. I'm sure they're not slurs. I think they're supposed to be glisses. That kind of thing. I don't actually play all of them. I play some of them. I play this one, and I certainly play, but it's the first one that I don't play. But I can't understand why they use the slur sort of sign for that. Anyway, I'll go through this from the start and talk you through the fingerings. I use the thumb for these chords. I just like the sound of it. But you have to be careful with the tone, and just keep a good shape in the thumb when you push through. Don't let the thumb be pushed out of shape by the string. Just keep the form of it. You'll get a good tone. So slide 3 down to 2, and you're in 2nd position. Now there's somewhere that you have to use free stroke in that melody of the D there, because the A underneath it is ringing on nicely. And again here, the G will ring on. let's have a look at the actual fingering that I'm using. I use 4 and then slide 4 and 4 and slide 4 again. Bar, 4th finger, 4. That's pretty straightforward. Now this polka roll bit here in the 3rd line, I use the thumb on the melody. I heard people play it up here, but with this guitar I've got such a lovely 3rd string. I do it in 5th position, and that I get that effect by bringing that. It really brings out the D on the 3rd string, because I roll it like this. So I've got a P, M, A, and then P on the G string. So that sounds like this, and it's all with the thumb there. You can do a similar sort of roll here as well. So you've got P, I, M, A, and then hit the melody with the thumb. Like that. And I'll do a little gliss there. Like that. I have quite a long roll there, quite a large roll. And then we're back to... Such a lovely bit here. I'll just lower the volume a little bit there, ready for a crescendo. So let's talk about some of those fingerings. So that's pretty straightforward, but here, rather than do what most people do and use 3 off to open, I play, and then I play the bar. Then I play 4th finger on the E, and then I slide that up to the 7th fret, and I've got that chord there ready. I want this A sharp to ring on throughout that. So I take off the 3rd, slide the 4th, and I'm playing the open E, and I'm playing the G with the 1st finger and the G melody note there. Now this is quite tricky because you have to make sure that that melody note comes out, and the way you'll do it, you're plucking with P, M and A, but you just have to push M through a little bit further, and you should, like that, you should be able to make the melody come out. And then slide 4 back, and then 3 will be ready on the 3rd string for that. So that whole bit. Now this is pretty straightforward, but I keep the 3rd down here. I don't switch to 2, I keep the 3rd down. So this is as it was before. Now a lot of people play a lovely one of those up on the B, but I just play it on the 1st string with the 3rd finger, and by using the 3rd finger I've got all the other fingers ready for the chord that they need to play. And bring out the bass here, because the melody is in the bass, and keep the accompaniment down. As far as I shorten that, so a little bit of articulation there, and it's got an added bonus as well. there, I've got a 5/6 barré, and I shorten it, and when I've stopped playing it, I go to the half barré. Now I could have done this, but I find that stretch between 4 and 3 there not very nice. So I prefer to do and bring the 3 over like that. Keep this down 2 all the time, and then slide it back. Now this next chord is interesting because I've seen it played here. I've seen it played with a harmonic here, like that. But I prefer to play it in the normal way, 7th fret. I just find I can balance those notes a little easier that way. So the next section, the meno, I think the first thing to say is that the bass, the melody, is always going to be on the bass strings. Instead of down here. The typical kind of Villa Lobos thing. It sounds great. And lots of vibrato. And this is the kind of the clash there between the F sharp and the open G. Lots of vibrato sound really nice. Now I want to talk about the bass notes with that. So I'm not playing them together. So I'm playing the thumb, the first bass note with the thumb, and then the melody line on the 4th string. And I'm not pushing it through like that. I'm playing quite separately. I feel I'll get more control that way. But the timing is important. If I put a metronome on and so you bang on the beat there. So the way I play it is I play the bass note as a kind of grace note. Like this. So you're still on the beat. If it was the other way around, it would be... It's too confusing to do, but yeah, it's like a grace note. Think of it, the bass as a grace note. Okay. Now the other thing to notice is the accompaniment on the second quaver. It's written as a quaver because as soon as you've played it, you have to jump up for that melody note. So if you listen to that, that only lasts for a quaver as written. But the next one is written the same way, but I don't think that's intended, because if you look at the bars below that on the score, they're dotted crotchets. So I think this is meant to be a dotted crotchet. So then you get that lovely clash. And also you'll notice that the bass note is a dotted minim. So you've had this, and then it repeats. Now here, there is a way of playing this so that the bass rings on, but I don't like it. I would like to come up on the 5th string in the same way as we did this. But that's going to mean losing the bass note. And you see that the dotted crotchets mean ring on the open strings there. And here again, now this time I do keep that bass down, and it's a bit of a stretch. It's 1 on the bass, 2 on the C sharp, fourth coming across to the E, and then the third on the D. That gets your bass ringing on. So again, if you look at the bar above, you've had the 1, 2, 3, and again you get the same here. It's the same pattern where you've got crotchet and then dotted minim. That's just an idea I had to leave that ringing on. And after that you've got, a lot of people play a little echo there. You know, they'll change the tone or something. I don't really think that's necessary, but you could maybe have a tiny rallentando. And then you're back to the melody. Now this time, use your fourth finger on there, on the G, and slide it down to the F sharp, and the first finger is going to be on the C natural, and then you can slide the first up, and the two will be on the E there. So it's a slightly back to front fingering, but it does work. That's all right. Definite echo there, because they're longer phrases. Okay, and then after that you've got a big crescendo. So start it off nice and quietly to give yourself more of a ceiling for that. That was a bit clumsy. I'll try that again. Glissando down to, with that fingering, this can ring on the whole time, that melody. And you're on the fourth string for the melody here. 1, 4, then slide 4, and you're back to this bit. Now this time, I do lose the bass note, and I slide that up because something different is going to happen afterwards, and also you can give it some vibrato there. 1, 4, and 1 and 3 are free. It's quite nice to have a gliss on those chords. Ringing on, and then you can have a nice tiered kind of 3-level decrescendo there. Now that last bit, try and keep that the same tone quality and the right kind of volume, which isn't easy because you're using your thumb across the strings for that last one, but yeah, that's quite tricky to do, but quite important. Now the next section, I'm going to talk you through the fingering first of all. That's as you would expect. Now 4 to 3, then slide 3. So, and then I play this here, not down there, but I've got an open string. I've got 2 on the C sharp, and I've got 3 on the A. And then I find it very easy to slur these 1, 3, and then 1, 3, and then C sharp, open E, and then up to this pattern, 2, 1, 4, and a slur off. So that bit again. What I like to try and do is get straight down to that in time. It just takes a little bit of practice. I get a 1/3 bar down here, but then I slide, and then 1, 2 and 3 will slide to there, and 4 will go on there. There. So that's from here. And you can get it's quite nice to get that glyph there. And that just as you would expect. Now I've got a quite unusual, unorthodox fingering here. I slur 1, 1, 4. A little bit Alan Holdsworth, if any of you know him. If you know who he is, leave something in the comments. So it's 3, open, and then the barre, half barre, 3, 4, and gliss down to there. So I'll do that again. Leave that one on, first finger on. So instead of, you don't want this, try and get it legato. That's a lovely fingering that. You've got 2, 3, 1, 4, slurred, 1, 4, slurred, open B, and then slide the 4th up to the 12th fret. Okay. And now 1 and 2 just slide up a fret, and it just works so perfectly, that bit. And then you put the bar down, bar on the 7th. And then this bit I think is a misprint. It's written out like this, but I think it's G natural. So that makes sense, doesn't it? And then slide that down to there. 4 and 3. 5/6 barre. And slide the 3rd down here. And by doing that, you free up 2 like that. So that's quite an important fingering there. And now you want 4 on the C sharp, 3 on the A, and 2 on the E. And your home and dry. Now this bit here, I noticed that the first repeat, this is first time ending, the E rings on, so try not to play it with a rest stroke because you'll cut the E. So I play with thumb like that. So the fingering I've got is 2, 4, open 2, 4, 1, slurring onto the A, and then I go to rest strokes, open B, 1, 2, 4. So the last bit's all rest strokes. And the other hand would be all thumb, and then thumb, M, I, M, and then I, slur, and then your home and dry then, because you've got M and I repeated. M, I, M, I, M. Now the other thing I like to do there, I know it's written like this with the E ringing on. I played that a little different then, but what I like to do, I do a sort of subito. As soon as I play the F sharp, I cut everything. It's quite a nice effect. So like that. If you listen to the recording, you should hear it. Anyway, then you've got the repeat, and then the second time ending, you've got and careful when you play that last chord to cut the E that was ringing on before. Like that, and then you're back to the... three strokes here. Using the thumb. There's that bar we spoke about. So it's pretty much the same. Maybe you want to do one of those on the second time, I don't know, but yeah, I stick down here. And then this chorale type. I don't understand this at all. I just can't get on with that double forte at the end. So I've just done my own thing. Those lines are interesting as well. Are they slide like that? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. So I tend to, I'm not too quiet, but I just like to leave that, it's quite an unusual way to finish, I just like to leave it hanging there. So yeah, I hope that's helped. They're my ideas, you know, you've probably got your own ideas, but hopefully some of that will help and some of the fingerings will help. So do subscribe if you've enjoyed and send me some ideas for some more.